The crystal spire of the Galactic Council loomed against the twin suns of Centauri Prime, its translucent walls refracting light in mesmerizing patterns. Inside the grand chamber, representatives of over 300 spacefaring species gathered for what many consider the entertainment of the cycle, Earth's membership application. Dr. Emma Sullivan stood at the central podium, her navy blue diplomatic uniform sharp against the ethereal architecture. The massive holographic display behind her showed Earth's primary defense fleet, a collection of ships that would have looked more at home in a historical museum than a modern space battle. As you can see, she continued, her voice steady despite the barely contained snickers from the assembly, the United Earth Defense Force maintains a fleet of 47 combat-capable vessels with an additional 23 support craft. A ripple of laughter broke through the chamber as the display focused on what Earth called a heavy cruiser. Its hull bore visible welding marks, and its engine configuration seemed to defy basic laws of efficient propulsion. High Commander Zextal of the Zoraxian Empire rose from his gravity throne, his bioluminescent patterns pulsing with amused contempt. Esteemed colleagues, his translator device conveyed the mocking tone perfectly. I move that we examine the Earth vessel's main weapon systems. I find myself in need of further entertainment. The chamber erupted in appreciative chuckles. The Zoraxians, with their living ships and neural-linked weapon systems, had dominated galactic military rankings for the past 3 centuries. To them, Earth's presentation was like watching a child show off a crude crayon drawing. Dr. Sullivan tapped her display, and the hologram zoomed in on what appeared to be purely ballistic weapons. Our primary armament consists of magnetically accelerated projectiles, supported by chemical propellant missiles, for ship-to-ship combat. The laughter grew louder. A Ravaxian senator actually fell from their perch in hysterics, their wing membranes fluttering as attendants helped them back up. Chemical propellants. Zextal's skin flashed in patterns of disbelief. Next, you'll tell us you still use combustion engines for atmospheric flight. When Dr. Sullivan remained silent, his patterns shifted to pure joy. By the void, they do. In the darkened upper tier of the chamber, Speaker Cthon of the Orcs Confederation watched with all 4 eyes fixed on the human presentation. Their species had survived 18 million years of galactic politics by recognizing patterns, and something about this display made their ancestral warning instincts tingle. The Orcs' primary research assistant leaned in, speaking in hushed tones. Speaker, our analysis shows inconsistencies in the human data. Their industrial capacity suggests they should be capable of more advanced. Cthon silenced them with a subtle tentacle wave. They had seen this before, though the memory lay buried in ancient records. A species presenting itself as less than it was, hiding its strength behind a facade of weakness. But when? The question nagged at their multiple brain cores. Dr. Sullivan continued her presentation, methodically detailing Earth's limited faster-than-light capabilities and their developing sensor technology. Each new revelation brought fresh waves of amusement from the council members. Yet she never showed a hint of embarrassment or anger, her professional demeanor unwavering. In conclusion, she said, standing straight as the final hologram faded, Earth acknowledges that our technology may not match current galactic standards. However, we believe our unique perspective could bring value to the Council. Zextal's final response seemed almost kind, his luminescence softening to what his species considered a patronizing glow. My dear Dr. Sullivan, the only value your species brings to this chamber is comic relief. I suggest you return to your Sol system and contact us again in perhaps 1,000 years. As the chamber filled with final rounds of laughter, only 2 beings remained silent. Dr. Sullivan, who offered a simple diplomatic bow before exiting, and Speaker Cthon, whose tentacles had finally started writhing in recognition. They remembered now. the last species that had presented themselves this way had nearly conquered the galaxy, only to vanish without a trace. The speaker began composing an urgent message to the Orcs High Command. The galaxy was laughing, but K'Fan had a feeling the joke was on them. 3 kilometers beneath the methane seas of Saturn's largest moon, Admiral Marcus Thompson watched the Galactic Council's feed with a slight smile. The command center, carved from the moon's solid ice core and reinforced with diamond lattice structures, hummed with quiet efficiency as hundreds of officers monitored Earth's real defense grid. "They're actually laughing harder than our models predicted," Commander Riley Martinez said, her dark eyes fixed on the tactical display, showing the Zoraxian fleet's movement through the Kuiper Belt. "Their psychology division should get a commendation for this one." The Admiral nodded, his weather-worn face reflecting in the holographic displays that surrounded his command station. 17 years of carefully leaked data, all leading to this moment. He gestured, and the display shifted to show Earth's true military strength. Over 8,000 ships hidden throughout the solar system. The scene before them was a testament to human ingenuity. Entire fleets nestled within the storm bands of Jupiter, their advanced metamaterials rendering them indistinguishable from the gas giants' swirling clouds. Destroyer squadrons moved silent through the ice fields of Saturn's rings, their quantum camouflage systems making them appear as nothing more than frozen water. "Project Phantom status?" Thompson asked, his voice carrying the weight of 2 decades of preparation. Martinez brought up a new display, showing a sleek vessel unlike anything the Galactic Council had ever seen. Its hull seemed to drink in light rather than reflect it, covered in patterns that made the eye want to slide away. "The quantum manifold is stable across all test platforms. We're not just bending light around our ships anymore. We're actually shifting them partially out of normal spacetime." A junior officer rushed up, her uniform bearing the insignia of the Deep Space Tracking Division. "Admiral, the Zoraxian fleet just passed the orbit of Neptune. 87 ships, exactly as intelligence predicted. They're maintaining their standard approach formation." Thompson's smile widened slightly. "And our little show at the Council has them convinced they're facing a primitive species barely out of their gravity well." "Perfect." He turned to face the main strategic display, where thousands of green dots represented Earth's hidden fleet. "Signal all commands. Execute Operation Looking Glass." Throughout the solar system, humanity's true military power began to move. Ships hidden in Mercury's sensor-dead zones powered up their drives. Stealth squadrons emerged from Venus's acid clouds, their hulls' environmental shielding having protected them for years. Even Mars's famous dust storms concealed wings of advanced fighters, their pilots finally ready to reveal their presence. "Sir," Martinez called out, her voice tight with controlled excitement. "Dr. Sullivan's transport just cleared the Council space. She reports Operation Wounded Pride was a complete success. The Zoraxians took every bit of bait we offered." Thompson moved to the central platform, where a 3-dimensional map of the solar system showed both the approaching Zoraxian fleet and the converging hidden forces of Earth. "You know, my grandfather used to tell me stories about the Cold War, how 2 powers could have their fingers on the button while smiling at each other across the negotiating table. Looks like humanity never lost that touch." The command center's activity increased as final battle stations were called. Officers who had trained for years in secret now moved with practiced precision, their actions reflecting countless drills and simulations. The deception that had taken nearly 2 decades to craft was about to pay off. "Message from Fleet Intelligence," another officer called out. "The Zoraxians are preparing their standard subjugation broadcast. They're following the playbook to the letter." Admiral Thompson took his command chair, the subtle lines of age on his face deepening as he considered the history about to be made. Humanity has always excelled at playing the long game. While they were laughing at our primitive ships, we were learning every detail of their tactics, their technology, their psychology. He paused, looking at the tactical display one final time. Signal all fleet commanders. Operation Looking Glass is now active. Let's show the galaxy why Earth never needed to bare its teeth to be dangerous. As the orders went out, the hidden fleets of Earth began their final preparations. The greatest deception in human military history was about to be revealed, and the galaxy would never laugh at Earth again. High Commander Zextal reclined in his neural command pod, his bioluminescent patterns glowing with lazy satisfaction as his fleet approached the fourth planet of the Sol system. The red world's dust storms provided an appropriately dramatic backdrop for what he considered a minor administrative task. Begin the standard subjugation broadcast, he ordered, his patterns flickering with amusement. Let's see how quickly these primitives surrender when faced with real military power. The Zoraxian fleet moved in perfect formation, their biological ships linked in a neural network that made them act as one organism. 87 vessels arranged in the famous Spear of Dominion pattern, a formation that had broken the will of countless civilizations. The broadcast began, Zextal's voice echoing across all Earth frequencies. People of Earth, your pitiful attempts at space combat technology have amused the Galactic Council. In recognition of your limited capabilities, we offer you the opportunity to become a protectorate of the Zoraxian Empire. Resist, and we will. Sir, his sensor officer's patterns flashed emergency red. Temperature anomaly detected port side. It's by the void, it's everywhere. The space around the Zoraxian fleet began to shimmer, like heat waves rising from desert sands. At first, it appeared as though the stars themselves were moving, shifting in impossible ways. Then the truth revealed itself. Ships, hundreds of ships. They seemed to phase into reality like ghosts becoming solid, their hulls covered in patterns that made the mind struggle to accept their existence. The Zoraxian fleet's famous spear formation was now inside a sphere of human vessels that had materialized from seemingly empty space. Impossible, Zextal whispered, his patterns gone dark with shock. Their technology was primitive. We saw their ships, their weapons. Sir, we're detecting energy signatures unlike anything in our database, his science officer reported, patterns strobing with panic. The humans, they're not using any known form of cloaking technology. These ships appear to be partially out of phase with normal spacetime. On the bridge of the Earth Fleet flagship Deception, Admiral Thompson stood with his hands clasped behind his back. Signal the Zoraxian command vessel. Your assessment of Earth's capabilities was based on incomplete data. We suggest you reconsider your position. The message was met with silence. On the Zoraxian flagship, Zextal frantically ordered his neural network to initiate combat protocols. Their bioships began secreting their energy shield compounds, creating the defensive barriers that had made them legendary. Sir, Commander Martinez said from her station on the Deception, the Zoraxians are powering up their shield systems. Should we demonstrate why that won't help them? Thompson nodded once. Show them what a quantum manifold weapon can do. A single beam of light, so narrow it was almost invisible, shot from the Deception. It passed through the Zoraxian shields, as though they didn't exist, which from the beam's perspective in its shifted state of reality, they didn't. The beam struck the hull of a Zoraxian destroyer, and the ship simply stopped existing. By the first egg, the Zoraxian weapons officer breathed, patterns nearly white with terror. They didn't destroy it. They removed it from our timeline. Zextal watched in horror as his perfect formation began to break. Ships attempted to retreat, only to find human vessels appearing in their escape vectors. Others tried to fight, their biological weapons useless against vessels that could choose which laws of physics they wished to obey. This is Admiral Marcus Thompson of the Earth Defense Force. The transmission cut across all frequencies. Your fleet is surrounded. Your weapons are useless, and we have just demonstrated our ability to remove you from existence. However, unlike some species, we believe in second chances. You have 5 minutes to power down your ships and prepare for boarding. After that, he let the silence speak for itself. In his command pod, High Commander Zextal's patterns shifted to the color of surrender. He had come expecting to subjugate a primitive species. Instead, he had led his fleet into the carefully laid trap of a civilization that had mastered the art of deception on a galactic scale. The Battle of Mars, as it would come to be known, lasted exactly 7 minutes from first revelation to final surrender. Not a single human life was lost. The emergency session of the Galactic Council began in chaos. The Crystal Spire's chamber, usually a model of decorum, had devolved into a cacophony of arguments, accusations, and fear. The footage of the Battle of Mars played on an endless loop above their heads, a constant reminder of how thoroughly they had been deceived. The recordings must be falsified. A Ravaxian senator screeched, their wing membranes fluttering in agitation. No species could hide such technology from our detection systems. The Zoraxian representative, a junior diplomat hastily appointed after High Commander Zextal's capture, raised all 4 arms in protest. We have 15,000 witnesses across 87 ships. Our entire fleet was disabled by weapons that defied known physics. Speaker Chthon of the Orcs moved to the central platform, their tentacles writhing with purpose. The chamber fell silent as ancient holographic records materialized around them, the air filling with texts and images that predated most council species evolution. 18 million years ago, Chthon's translator device resonated through the chamber. Our ancestors encountered a species known only as the ghosts of the void. They too presented themselves as technologically inferior. They too hid their true strength until the perfect moment. The holograms showed ancient battles, ships appearing from nowhere to strike and vanish again. The similarity to Earth's tactics was undeniable. But that's not all, Chthon continued. Our archaeological division has been working without rest. We have found references to human presence throughout the galaxy dating back centuries. They were never the primitive species we assumed. New images appeared, grainy security footage from a dozen worlds, showing humans in the background of historical events, archaeological digs revealing Earth-made devices, far from Sol. Atmospheric analysis data suggesting human ships had visited countless worlds long before their official first contact. The Vrol defense minister, their crystalline form vibrating with concern, interfaced with the central database. Our archives show an unexplained energy signature near our capital world 3 standard years ago. At the time, we dismissed it as a sensor malfunction. They were studying us, the Mechloran chief strategist rumbled, their silicon-based brain processing the implications. Every mistake in their council presentation was calculated. Every show of weakness was designed to make us lower our guard. The chamber's artificial atmosphere grew heavy with the weight of realization. Each species present had their own stories now coming to light. Mysterious sensor ghosts, unexplained technological glitches, strange anomalies that had been too easily dismissed. A junior researcher from the Orcs delegation rushed to Speaker Chthon, their tentacles tangled in excitement. Speaker, we've decoded more of the ancient texts. The ghosts of the void didn't vanish. They left a warning. They said another species would come, one that had mastered the art of hiding in plain sight. The council erupted again, but this time the fear was palpable. The holographic display shifted to show the Sol system, where the Zoraxian fleet remained under human custody. The few communications allowed from the captured ships spoke of technologies that shouldn't exist, of ships that could step between moments of time, of weapons that ignored the very laws of physics. We must consider, Chthon addressed the chamber, that everything we know about Earth may be part of their deception, their industrial capacity, their population, their territory. All of our data could be as false as their primitive fleet. The McLaurin strategist's crystal structure pulsed with sudden understanding. The humans have a term from their military history: Cold War, a state of conflict where the true battle is fought through deception and deterrence rather than direct combat. They paused, their lights dimming. We may have been in a Cold War with Earth for centuries without realizing it. As if to punctuate this statement, new reports began flooding the Council's networks. Quantum anomalies were being detected near every major military installation in the galaxy. The humans were revealing just enough of their hidden fleet to send a message. They had always been there, watching, waiting, and now they had chosen to be seen. Dr. Emma Sullivan stood before her mirror in the Earth Embassy on Centauri Prime, adjusting her diplomatic uniform with practiced precision. Today's council session would be different. No more playing the role of an apologetic representative from a backward world. Today was about calculated revelation. Fleet status update. Doctor, her quantum encrypted communicator whispered in her ear. Admiral Thompson's voice carried a note of satisfaction. Operation Shadow Dance is proceeding as planned. The McLaurin defense grid just detected our presence near their homeworld. She allowed herself a small smile. Right on schedule. How did they react? Exactly as predicted. Their silicon-based computing systems tried to track our quantum signatures for exactly 3 minutes before their logic centers crashed from the paradoxes. They'll be desperate for answers at today's session. The council chamber had changed since the Battle of Mars. The once dismissive atmosphere had been replaced by tense alertness. Species that had previously ignored Earth's representatives now tracked Dr. Sullivan's every movement as she made her way to the central platform. Esteemed colleagues, she began, her voice carrying the same professional tone she'd use when presenting Earth's primitive fleet. In light of recent events, Earth wishes to address certain questions about our capabilities. The chamber's privacy fields activated automatically. A new protocol implemented after several species representatives had leaked classified information in their panic over human technologies. First, Sullivan continued, activating a holographic display. We would like to clarify the nature of our quantum manifold systems. The image showed a human vessel shifting between states of reality. The technical specifications just detailed enough to be tantalizing, while revealing nothing critical. The McLaurin chief strategist's crystal structure flashed with sudden interest. The energy signatures we detected. You're not just bending space-time. You're walking between its layers, Sullivan finished, allowing a touch of pride to enter her voice. Though that's a rather simplified explanation. The display shifted, showing the locations where Earth had allowed its ships to be detected over the past week. Each point of light represented a strategic installation, a military headquarters, or a vital resource world. The Ravaxian senator's wing membranes trembled. You're threatening us. Not at all, Sullivan replied smoothly. We're simply being transparent about our existing deployments. After all, the Council values honesty among its members. The irony of her statement was not lost on anyone present. In the upper tiers, Speaker Cathon's tentacles moved in patterns of deep thought. The tactical data from the Mars encounter, they said, their translator device projecting carefully measured tones. You chose to reveal exactly 7 different advanced technologies. Why that specific number? Sullivan's expression remained professional, but her eyes sparkled. An interesting observation. Speaker, perhaps there are other technologies we haven't demonstrated yet. Perhaps what you saw at Mars was everything we have. Intelligence analysis can be such a complex art. The chamber erupted in hushed conversations as species representatives frantically updated their threat assessments. The beauty of Earth's strategy lay in its uncertainty. Every revelation suggested 3 more secrets. Every demonstration hinted at hidden capabilities. We should address the recent incident near Proxima Centauri, Sullivan continued, bringing up footage of a Zoraxian scout fleet. As you can see, All crews were returned unharmed, though they seemed to have misplaced approximately 72 hours of memories. The footage showed confused Zoraxian crews being retrieved from their ships, all of them convinced they had just left port despite their vessel's chronometers showing 3 days had passed. A demonstration of temporal manipulation. The Vrol defense minister's crystalline form vibrated with concern. Or perhaps simple chemical sedation, Sullivan offered with a diplomatic smile. Though I would note that their ship's data cores were completely intact, yet contained no records of the missing time. An interesting technical challenge, wouldn't you agree? As the session continued, Dr. Sullivan maintained the delicate balance. Each revelation carefully chosen, each demonstration precisely calculated. Earth was no longer playing the role of the primitive newcomer, but neither were they showing their full hand. In Earth's hidden command center, Admiral Thompson watched the Council feed with approval. Check, he murmured to himself, as another piece of humanity's galactic chess game fell into place. The meeting location had been chosen with calculated precision. A hidden station deep within the Orc cloud, its existence unknown to all but Earth's highest command. As Speaker Kaython's personal vessel approached, its sensors could detect nothing until the station simply appeared before them, as though reality itself had parted like a curtain. Impressive. The Arxer leader's tentacles writhed in appreciation. Even knowing what to look for, we could not detect this facility. Commander Riley Martinez stood at the docking port, her dress uniform crisp despite the station's unique artificial gravity field that shifted to accommodate different species preferences. Welcome to Looking Glass Station, Speaker Kaython. Admiral Thompson is waiting in the quantum-sealed conference chamber. The Arxer delegation moved through the station's crystalline corridors, their multiple eyes taking in everything. The architecture itself seemed to defy physics, with spaces that appeared larger inside than outside, and corridors that somehow connected points that should have been impossibly far apart. Admiral Thompson rose as they entered the conference chamber, a space that existed partially out of phase with normal spacetime. Speaker Kaython, your message intrigued us. A private alliance between Earth and the Arxer Confederation would indeed reshape the galaxy. Kaython's tentacles moved in patterns of ancient diplomatic signals as they settled into the specially designed chair. We are more alike than either of our species first realized, Admiral. The Arxer have always understood the power of patience, of waiting for the perfect moment to strike, like your species did during the Crystalline Wars. Martines asked, her voice casual, but her eyes sharp, when you appeared to be neutral until the final movement. The speaker's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of pleasure among their kind. You've studied our history well. Yes, we have our own expertise in strategic deception, combined with your quantum technology. They let the implication hang in the air. Holographic displays materialized around them, showing the Arxer's proposed integration of their bioorganic technology with Earth's quantum systems. The possibilities were staggering. Ships that could not only phase through reality, but actually grow and evolve. Weapons that could adapt to any defense, stealth systems that could learn and improve. But Commander Martinez had been watching the data stream from her neural interface. Hidden among the technical specifications were patterns, codes that the Arxer didn't know humans could detect. She sent a silent alert to the Admiral's neural link. An impressive proposal, Thompson said, his face revealing nothing. Though I notice your biomechanical interface protocols would give Arxer systems priority control over the quantum matrices. Kaython's tentacles stilled for a fraction of a second, a tell that few species would have noticed. A minor technical detail, easily adjusted in the final implementation. Martinez stepped forward, her neural interface now actively decoding the hidden layers of the Arxer's technical data. Like the minor detail of your dormant control protocols, the ones designed to hijack any integrated systems once they reach critical mass. The temperature in the room seemed to drop as the true game was revealed. Fawn's outer skin layer shifted colors, a sign of both respect and annoyance. We underestimated your cryptographic capabilities. The last species that could read our deep codes vanished 18 million years ago. The ghosts of the void. Thompson's smile held no warmth. We found their archives, Speaker, found them, and learned from them long before we ever met the Galactic Council. Your ancient allies tried the same strategy, offering partnership while planning domination. The Orcs leaders' tentacles now moved in patterns of pure calculation. You understand, of course, that this knowledge cannot leave this room. The political implications will remain hypothetical, Thompson interrupted, as long as the Orcs Confederation remembers that Earth values its independence above all else. We're happy to maintain our current diplomatic relations, Speaker. But any future attempts to subvert our technology will be met with extreme prejudice. The threat was clear, yet Fawn's response was not fear, but growing respect. You are indeed worthy successors to the ghosts. Perhaps in time, we can discuss a more equitable partnership. As the Orcs delegation departed, Martinez turned to Thompson. They'll try again. Different method. Same goal. Of course they will, Thompson agreed, and we'll be ready. After all, the best way to win the game is to see all the moves before they're made. The station faded back into its quantum shroud, once again becoming invisible to the galaxy at large. But now, the Orcs knew. Earth hadn't just been hiding their technology. They'd been hiding their knowledge of the galaxy's deepest secrets. The Zoraxian War College had changed dramatically in the 3 months since the Battle of Mars. Gone were the gleaming bioorganic displays and proud exhibitions of force. Instead, the once bright halls were now dimmed, with senior officers speaking in hushed tones as they studied Earth's military history. High Commander Zextal, recently released from Earth's custody, stood before the assembled War College staff. His bioluminescent patterns, once bright with arrogance, now pulsed with the subtle colors of hard-won wisdom. The humans have a concept, he began, his patterns shifting to teaching mode, called asymmetric warfare. Their entire history is built upon it. The smaller force defeating the larger through superior strategy, deception, and psychological manipulation. The holographic display showed ancient human battles. Thermopylae, Agincourt, the American Revolution. Each example demonstrated how a supposedly weaker force had overcome a stronger one through cunning and innovation. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out. The McLaurin Strategic Institute had completely rebuilt their training programs, incorporating human concepts of indirect warfare. Their crystal-based computing systems now ran endless simulations based on Earth's historical battles. Notice, a McLaurin instructor's lights pulsed as they analyzed the Battle of Mars, how the humans never revealed their full capabilities. Each demonstration was calculated to suggest greater power held in reserve. This is their concept of deterrence, the idea that unknown capabilities are more powerful than known ones. In the Revaxian Flight Academy, Wing Commander Kizrix demonstrated new flight patterns to their students. The once proud combat formations of their species had been modified, taking inspiration from Earth's guerrilla warfare tactics. Our traditional attack formations are beautiful, the commander admitted, their wing membranes shifting in resignation. But beauty means nothing if your enemy can predict your every move. Observe how human fighter pilots prioritize unpredictability over aesthetic appeal. The Vrol Defense Ministry had gone further, completely redesigning their ship's external appearance. The once crystalline vessels were now covered in light-absorbing materials, their signatures reduced to minimal levels. If we learn nothing else from the humans, the Vrol chief engineer's crystalline form resonated. Let it be that appearance and reality need not align. Our ships no longer need to reflect our inner beauty. They need to survive. But perhaps the most profound changes were happening in the Galactic Council's military archives. Teams of researchers from every species pored over Earth's released historical documents, finding new insights in humanity's centuries of conflict. Dr. Emma Sullivan stood before the Council's Military Advisory Committee, presenting another carefully selected package of Earth's military history. Today, we'll be discussing the Cold War era, when two global powers managed to maintain peace through the delicate balance of assured destruction. The committee members leaned forward, their various sensory organs fixed on the presentation. The concept of maintaining peace through the threat of war was revolutionary to many species. The key, Sullivan continued, was that neither side could ever be certain of the other's full capabilities. This uncertainty bred caution, and caution bred stability. In Earth's hidden command center, Admiral Thompson and Commander Martinez watched the various feeds with satisfaction. Species that had once relied solely on overwhelming force were now learning the subtle art of strategic ambiguity. They're adapting faster than expected, Martins noted, reviewing the intelligence reports. The Zorexians have already implemented their first stealth ship program. Thompson nodded, a slight smile playing at his lips. Of course they are. We're not just teaching them new technologies. We're teaching them new ways of thinking. The galaxy is learning that true power isn't about what you show. It's about what you keep hidden. As if to prove his point, a priority alert flashed across their screens. The Zorexian test vessel, their first attempt at stealth technology, had successfully completed its initial trial run. They're learning, Martins observed. They've even painted the hull in non-reflective colors. Yes, Thompson agreed, but notice how they're announcing their success. They want us to know they're catching up. He brought up another display, showing Earth's latest quantum ship designs. Technology so advanced, it would make their current fleet look primitive in comparison. Let them think they're closing the gap. Sometimes, the best way to keep your lead is to let others think they're getting close. The crystal spire of the Galactic Council had never been so silent. Representatives of over 300 species sat in perfect stillness as Dr. Emma Sullivan took the central platform for Earth's final membership presentation. The chamber's natural light seemed to dim, as if reality itself was holding its breath. Esteemed colleagues, Sullivan began, her voice carrying the same professional tone she'd used 6 months ago when presenting Earth's primitive fleet. Today, we will address the terms of Earth's membership in the Galactic Council. But first, a demonstration. The chamber's holographic system activated, but this time it was different. The images had a clarity and depth never before seen in Council technology. Admiral Thompson's figure appeared, standing beside Sullivan, as if he were actually there. What you're seeing, Thompson explained, is a real-time quantum projection. I am currently in Earth's solar system, yet I can interact with this chamber as if present. He reached out and picked up a ceremonial artifact from a nearby pedestal, the object physically moving despite his projection. Gasps echoed through the chamber. The Mecloran chief strategist's crystal structure pulsed with recognition. You've mastered quantum entanglement on a macro scale. One of many technologies we've developed, Sullivan confirmed. Now, please observe. The view expanded to show the Sol system, then began to change. Hidden facilities emerged from gas giant storms. Massive shipyards phased into view from within Mercury's corona, and research stations appeared in dimensional pockets throughout the asteroid belt. Our previous fleet presentation was, as you've guessed, incomplete, Thompson said with a slight smile. This is the current status of Earth's military and scientific capabilities. The display shifted again, showing ships that defied known physics, vessels that could manipulate gravity as easily as light, weapons that could selectively apply or ignore natural laws, and defense systems that made the concept of shields seem primitive. Speaker Chthon's tentacles moved in patterns of profound understanding. You're not just revealing your fleet. You're showing us how far behind we actually are. Correct, Sullivan nodded, But more importantly, we're demonstrating why this gap in technology need not lead to conflict. The holographic display shifted one final time, showing a new structure taking shape in neutral space. A massive research and development center. Earth proposes the formation of the Galactic Advanced Sciences Initiative, Sullivan announced. A collaborative effort where all council species can work together to advance our collective knowledge. Not through competition, but through cooperation. The chamber erupted in surprised murmurs. The Zoraxian representative, their patterns showing cautious hope, spoke first. You would share your technology. Under controlled conditions, Thompson clarified, with safeguards to ensure no single species, including Earth, can dominate the others. We believe true security comes not from holding others back, but from lifting everyone forward. The Vrol defense minister's crystalline form vibrated with sudden realization. This was your plan all along. The deception, the revelations, the calculated demonstrations, all to bring us to this moment. Sullivan's smile held genuine warmth. Humanity has learned through bitter experience that military superiority alone is not enough. True power lies in knowing when to share strength rather than simply display it. The council chamber's atmosphere changed as understanding dawned. Earth hadn't just outmaneuvered them militarily. They'd reconstructed the entire game. We put it to a vote, Sullivan declared. Earth's membership, along with the formation of the Galactic Advanced Sciences Initiative. All in favor. The chamber's voting system lit up like a cascade of stars. The decision was unanimous. As the historic session concluded, Commander Martinez's voice came through Thompson's private channel. Sir, the quantum sensors are detecting increased activity around several council worlds. They're already preparing their best scientists for the initiative. Thompson's hologram smiled. Of course they are, because they finally understand what we've known all along. The greatest victory isn't defeating your opponents, it's transforming them into allies. The Crystal Spire's ancient walls had witnessed countless historical moments, but none quite like this. The species that had once been mocked as primitive had not only proven their power, they had changed the very nature of power itself. As Sullivan left the chamber, she passed the spot where, 6 months ago, the council had laughed at Earth's capabilities. Now they understood the truth. Humanity's greatest strength had never been their hidden fleet or advanced technology. It had been their ability to see beyond the simple dynamics of strong and weak, to envision a galaxy united not by fear, but by the shared pursuit of knowledge. The age of deception was over. The age of collaboration had begun.